Here are my tips how I grew this amazing philodendron. Let's start with the soil. Soil is one of the most important factors when growing any plant. Philodendrons do pretty well in soil mix that holds moisture yet and also drains well. For my soil mix, I use a mix of 25% orchid soil, 25% perlite, 25% coco coir, 15% worm castings, and 10% activated charcoal for plants. By the way, I use this mix for all my aroids. Mix everything and it's ready to use. I like to put a bottom layer of pine bark for even better drainage, as you can see here. Watering plants like this is also pretty great, since the excess water can run off. When it comes to fertilizer, I use NPK ratio of 3:1:2. I usually use the fertilizer like suggested every 7 to 14 days under a plant lamp and once a month without. Multiple or similar NPK ratios also work well. Just mix it with hand-warm water and use it for the watering. For watering my plants, I like to check the soil first. When the upper 1-2 centimeters is slightly dry, I water my plant. Ideally, you want to let the excess water run off as shown before. If that's not possible, I tend to water my plants in 2 steps to prevent overwatering. Philodendrons are generally low to medium light plants, meaning they can tolerate some shade but also benefit from some indirect sunlight. I keep some of my plants in a cabinet with over 70% humidity. Humidity over 40% in normal room works as well. When you are using grow lights, measuring the intensity really brings your plant game to the next level. Ideally, you want 5,000 to 10,000 lux of light. Avoid direct sunlight or your leaves will get burned. For the propagation of a philodendron, you can either do head cuttings or stem cuttings. For stem cuttings, it's important to have at least an aerial root and 2 leaves. For stem cuttings, the cutting should have a leaf, an aerial root, and a node as in the image. For the cut, make sure to use a really sharp knife or razor blade. From the aerial root, the further roots will grow, and from the node, the new stem. To show you the cutting process, I will create some cuttings of my philodendron burle marx and my philodendron white princess. Both plants grew pretty fast and grew a bit out of control and need a chop anyway. I am using a razor blade to get clean cuts. For the cuts, I make sure to include a node, a leaf, and aerial roots. After letting the cut dry for some minutes, I put the stem cutting in water. Make sure to change the water now and then to prevent mold. You could also use perlite or sphagnum moss instead of water. Afterwards, just put it in a room with bright indirect light or under a plant lamp. I put mine in my cabinet. Putting the cuttings under a grow light and in a high humidity environment can really speed up the propagation process. After about 2 weeks, the roots start to grow. You can also notice that the head cutting kept growing and some nodes already shown new growing stems. When a cutting got enough roots or the node starts to grow a new stem, I like to transplant it into a pot. For this, I want to show you how I usually repot my philodendrons. First, you have to get the plant out of the old pot. Afterwards, you can free the roots from a bit of the soil and put it into the new pot. I suggest putting some pine bark as bottom layer in the pot for better draining. Afterwards, fill the pot with soil and put the plant in place. When the pot is filled with soil, water the plant so that the roots connect better with the substrate. Here usually still some substrate sags, so that it is best to refill something. As you can see, the soil shows a good draining and excess water can rain off. Thanks everyone for watching. If you liked the video, you would make me happy with a like or comment.